Part 8. Adorable Baby, The Miracle Doctor is So Awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 71. Without waiting for Shenyazi to respond, he couldn't wait to ask, "Guess what bloodline I have awakened now?" "Haha, I will scare you to death if I tell you." I dash. Qingbao was taken away. Hearing this, Yi Chang's voice stopped abruptly. "What? How dare you capture Qingbao? Who is so brave? Let me out quickly, I won't kill him." Shenyazi was waiting for his words and immediately let him out through the cover of his sleeves. Yu Chang, who had reawakened, was as red as jade, and the glistening light was flowing around him. He didn't look like a snake, but rather like a work of art carved from fine blood jade. The body is also a bit bigger. Obviously the purple scale fruit has brought him a lot of benefits, but now Shenyazi can't care about it. That man used Earth Escape to take Qingbao away. Right here. Shenyazi walked to where the stall owner was standing. "Can you find him?" Yu Chang reached out to Snake Zinza to collect the breath that had not dissipated in the air, and quickly said, "This way." Shenyazi told the panicked Ant Li, "I'm going to find Qingbao." Then he quickly chased in the direction Yi Chang said. Yunqian Temple, Longlywood Pavilion. Master Changfeng was eating chicken and drinking wine on the platform above. He was happily chewing on the chicken legs. Suddenly he noticed an unusual aura approaching. He hurriedly lifted the chicken legs from head to toe, threw away the complete chicken leg bones, and casually performed a cleansing technique. Fell to the ground like a master. Where he landed, a small earth bag bulged out, and immediately, a man with a heavy load appeared. It is the stall owner who kidnapped Qingbao. Qingbao was knocked unconscious by her. He was lying in a bamboo basket, sleeping soundly with his back stretched out. He was holding a cherry in his hand and the corner of his mouth was stained with red cherry juice. "Old bald donkey, why are you blocking my way?" As he spoke, the stall owner's image suddenly changed, from an ordinary-looking middle-aged woman to a voluptuous young woman. Changfeng clasped his hands and said "Ba," and said compassionately, "Donor, this is my territory. You kidnapped other people's dolls on my property. How can I, as the abbot, stand by and watch? The Buddha will blame me. So please return this little baby to his parents." Zhan Yuchun, that is, the enchanting woman sneered, "First wipe off the grease from the corners of your mouth before you say this to me." Changfeng subconsciously went to wipe the corners of his mouth. Halfway through his hand, he suddenly remembered that he had just used the cleaning technique. Why was there a shine on the corners of his mouth? Looking at Zhan Yuchun's joking eyes again, he couldn't help but talk a little bit, and stopped telling him lies. "My fellow Taoist, please keep that little baby, otherwise, I will send you to the Buddha's throne to repent." Zhan Yuchun stared at him and said slowly, "Are you determined to go against me?" "No, it's not that I want to go against fellow Daoist Zhan, but fellow Daoist deliberately makes things difficult for me." Zhan Yuchun was too lazy to talk nonsense with him, put down the bamboo basket, rushed to him, and patted his chest with a delicate hand. The movement looked light, but Changfeng didn't dare to let her get close to him, otherwise he would be seriously injured even if he didn't die. The two of them were worried about Qingbao when they were fighting, so they subconsciously stayed away from him, and unknowingly they ended up fighting on the other end. When Shenyazi and Yi Chang arrived, they saw the two of them fighting in full swing, and the bamboo basket containing Qingbao was placed aside. She rushed up and saw that Qingbao was fine, just asleep and even snoring, and she was relieved. "This stinky boy." She pinched his cheek lightly with a mixture of love and hate. "Hold Qingbao up." Shenyazi turned to face the two people fighting together. Although her strength is not as high as those two, or even far behind, their moves and body shapes can still be seen clearly. But it was precisely because she saw it clearly that she became confused. Needless to say, the man in monk's robes must be from the monastery, and the other. That woman is a demon. She is a rare yin-yang snake. She is hermaphrodite. After cultivating the human form, she can change between men and women at will. Her aura is consistent with that of the person who just kidnapped Qingbao. That's right. You are here to protect her. Hold on to Qingbao, I'll go up and take care of him. Yi Chang immediately revealed Zhang Yuchun's identity and rushed forward to join the battle group. Chang Feng and Zhang Yuchun were equally strong in cultivation, so they couldn't tell the winner after fighting for a long time. But now that Yu Chang has joined, the balance is suddenly broken. Zhang Yuchun was besieged by the two men and retreated steadily. Yi Chang is very protective of children. Zhang Yuchun actually dared to kidnap Qingbao, which made Yi Chang very angry. In addition, he knew Zhang Yuchun's identity well, so he was not affected by her charm at all. They don't show mercy to each other, and they are fierce when they fight. Moreover, he was as fast as the wind and elusive. Zhang Yuchun was sprayed with poisonous juice by him if he was not careful, and black energy spread to his delicate jade-white skin. I'm afraid I can't take that little cub away today. Zhang Yuchun glanced at Qingbao, who was being held in Shen Yizi's arms, with hatred in his heart. He glanced coldly at Chang Feng and Yu Chang, then twirled and disappeared from the spot. Yu Chang still wanted to kill them all, but when he saw that she ran away, he felt unwilling to do so. Unfortunately, he had already disappeared. He couldn't catch up even if he wanted to, so he had to return to Shen Yizi in frustration. Shen Yizi came forward with Qingbao in his arms, and bowed to Chang Feng. You must be Master Chang Feng, right? Thank you for stopping the thief just now, otherwise Qingbao doesn't know what will happen to him. Chang Feng raised his hand and made a gesture of support, and Shen Yizi suddenly felt that he was being helped up by a gentle but irresistible force. Donor, you don't have to be like this. That Zhang Yuchun dares to openly kidnap people in my Buddhist land. How can a poor monk allow him to be so rampant? No matter what, thank you, master. Chang Feng suddenly said, if the donor is really grateful to the poor monk just lacks a disciple, why not dash? Before he could finish speaking, Shen Yizi flatly refused, Master, Qingbao is still young, and I don't want him to leave my side. Moreover, I'm still waiting for him to grow up and marry me a beautiful wife. You came back to honor me, so, I appreciate Master's kindness. Chang Feng didn't force it, but looked at Qingbao with pity, that's all, he does have a lot of problems. He turned to hand over a crystal clear bead. The little baby has a special constitution and is easily coveted by others, so it's better to hide it. Give him this bead. Yi Chang sent a message to her, this bead is a good thing. Take it quickly. Shen Yizi didn't like to take advantage of others, but considering Qingbao, she still accepted it. Before she could open her mouth, Chang Feng slapped her hand, stopping her from thanking her. The donor doesn't need to say much, everything is predestined. After saying that, he turned around and walked away. It was obvious that his steps were not very big, but with one step, he was already several meters away and disappeared in front of Shen Yizi in the blink of an eye. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 72. In a place where Shen Yizi couldn't see him, Chang Feng, who originally had a great and upright image, immediately took off the burden of his image, lay down lazily on the couch, took out a roast chicken from somewhere, and continued to eat it deliciously. Shen Yizi looked at the direction where Chang Feng disappeared, and wondered in his mind, could this be the legendary shrinking of the ground into an inch? She withdrew her gaze, walked into the pavilion with Qingbao in her arms, sat down, and looked at the beads in her hand. Yi Chang took the initiative to educate her, this is the Buddhist most precious diamond glazed bead. It can protect the body, suppress evil, and collect breath. Hurry up and put it on your treasure. Shen Yizi asked, why would he give such a precious thing to Qingbao? Although Master Chang Feng rescued Qingbao just now, he and Qingbao gave him such a precious thing just for no reason. which could not help but arouse her vigilance. There is nothing good in this world without a reason. Yi Chang tilted his head. Maybe it's because he also sees Qingbao's extraordinary qualities, so he wants to invest in establishing a good relationship in advance. Does he still want to accept Qingbao as his disciple without seeing him? Or maybe, oh, you want to why do so many things? This baby is the real deal. Shen Yizi laughed. It would be useless to think too much. When the time comes, everything will become clear. She pricked Qingbao's fingertip lightly, took a drop of blood and dropped it on the bead, identifying it as its owner. Recognition of one's master by a drop of blood is only the most basic step of acknowledging one's master. After that, it will take a long time of refining and nourishing before one can be completely connected with the baby and have a heart-to-heart connection. But Qingbao obviously cannot do this now, so he can only do this for the time being. However, what she didn't expect was that as soon as Qingbao's blood was dripped on, the beads quickly absorbed it, and immediately turned into a gleam of light, and took the initiative to sink into Qingbao's body. This move made both Shen Yizi and Yi Chang a little dazed. Logically speaking, the baby who has recognized the master at the primary level cannot be taken into the body. Shen Yizi originally thought of taking a red rope and weaving beads into it for Qingbao to wear around his neck. It seems like there's no need to go through so much trouble now. Yi Chang suddenly exclaimed, I know. Qingbao is the legendary body of destiny. The body of destiny. It's a physique that makes everything go smoothly. For example, for a magic weapon to be recognized as its owner, others need to go through various procedures and keep the baby warm and nourished at all times, but with him, a drop of blood can do it. Yu Chang was really jealous of Qingbao, but thinking about his shining golden luck, he felt relieved. Should have thought of this earlier. He climbed onto Qingbao and said, Qingbao, Qingbao, your life is a smooth road. As long as you don't fall halfway, you will have a place in the highest position sooner or later. From now on, my uncle will follow you and win. Shen Yizi is not as optimistic as he is. Everything in the world is about balance. There are gains and losses, ups and downs. A seemingly perfect life may have some huge hidden dangers hidden behind it. But these hidden worries were not expressed. No matter whether Qingbao's life is good or bad in the future, she will be protected by her mother. She will never allow anyone to hurt her baby. She gently stroked Qingbao's face with her fingers, the tenderness and endearment in her eyes almost overflowing. When Yi Chang saw it, he couldn't help but feel dazed for a moment. At this moment, Qingbao's mouth moved and he woke up. Mother! Hearing the cry of his milk, Shen Yizi's heart felt extremely soft. Well, mother is here. Eat fruit. He handed the cherry that was almost crushed in his hand to her mouth. Shen Yizi ate the cherry without any disdain. Coming out of the pavilion, she suddenly thought of a question. She had forgotten to ask Master Chang Feng just now, who was the goblin who kidnapped Qingbao. Since she has set her sights on Qingbao, she will definitely not let it go, and she never knows when she will come back again. Knowing oneself and knowing the enemy is enough to win 100 battles. Only by knowing the enemy better can she better deal with possible crises. This time, Master Chang Feng helped me, but I might not be so lucky next time. Yu Chang sensed her worry. You are afraid of a ball. If that thing dares to come again, I will swallow him in one gulp. Yo, that's not a bad tone. It seems like you've gained a lot this time. That's right, I'm telling you, I've awakened the bloodline of the sky-swallowing python. Do you know, sky-swallowing python? You don't know either. Shen Yizi Shiren said, then you are really wrong. I knew it. The sky-swallowing python is an ancient demon. Its strength is comparable to that of Dragon Ancestor and Feng Ancestor. Its strongest skill is devouring. With the power of the sky, everything can't be swallowed. Don't tell me, you've also awakened the swallowing skill. Hey, you really got it right, not only the swallowing skills, but also the treasure hunting skills. My nose is so sharp now, no treasure can escape my perception. Shenyazi, do you have a nose? Why is your focus always so skewed? Aunt Li's family was still waiting anxiously at the same place. When they saw Shenyazi coming out with Qingbao in his arms, they hurriedly came to greet him. Thank God, Bodhisattva bless you, it's great that Qingbao is fine. Aunt Li clasped her hands together and thanked the gods. Li Chuntao and Li Dachun also breathed a sigh of relief. Auntie, Qingbao is a little scared, so I will take him back first. It's better to go back. In case anything happens again, can I ask Dachun to go back with you? No need, Auntie Shenyazi declined her kindness. Aunt Li and the other three watched her leave. Back home, Yi Chang kept complaining that he was hungry and asked Shenyazi to cook him food. There is no way, this is the sequelae caused by awakening the swallowing skill, and I want to devour it all the time. Once he is very hungry, he may not be able to control himself from swallowing anything he sees. Shenyazi quickly cooked food for him. Fortunately, now that there is a constant burning cauldron, it is easy to make. You just need to add the prepared ingredients and seasonings directly. Although the ever-burning cauldron is small, the space formation is carved inside, and the space inside is not as small as it looks from the outside. She can even stuff a cow into it at once. After eating a whole roast beef, 3 roast lambs, 5 large pots of chicken soup and half a head of stewed dragon meat, Yi Chang finally felt full. But in fact he can continue to eat. But when he looked at the pile of bone residue next to him, he stopped wisely. He was afraid that if he continued to eat, he would be disliked by Shenyazi. In fact, Shenyazi already disliked him. You think you are so small, how can you eat so much? If I didn't have space, I wouldn't be able to support you. Yi Chang smiled and said, what? Although I can eat, I am also very useful. If you encounter enemies in the future, just let me out and I can swallow them in one bite. And my treasure hunting skills, I will definitely find a lot of treasures for you in the future. Then why didn't you swallow that yin-yang snake today? Shenyazi squinted at him. She ran too fast. Next time I meet her, I will turn her into a ball of digestion. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 73. Afraid that she would continue talking, Yi Chang quickly ran to Qingbao and wrapped his body around his arm. His body was cool and soft, and felt very comfortable to touch, so Yi Chang once again experienced the fear of being kneaded like plasticine. However, instead of resisting, he had to cooperate. Shenyazi saw that the two of them were having fun, so he stopped caring and walked towards the pile of cherries. That's right, she brought back the 2 baskets of cherries that yin-yang snake used as props. I don't know where the yin-yang snakes got these cherries. They are all in excellent quality, bright red and plump, like crystal clear red agate. Just looking at them makes your mouth water. She divided the cherries into 2 parts, washed one part for Qingbao to eat raw, and made fried cherries for another part. Rotten cherry beads and fried honey. Is talking about this delicacy. She removed the stems of the cherries, washed them, and picked out the pits inside. She did not throw away the pits, but instead marked a separate clearing and planted them. I think it won't be long before a cherry forest will grow here. Then she and Qingbao can sit on the tree and eat while picking. It's very beautiful to think about. Shenyazi put the processed cherries into a large bowl, added sugar, and stirred for about a quarter of an hour. Then she poured the cherries into the pot, added a little water, and her own butter. First fry over high heat, stirring while frying. After a while, turn to slow fire, add rock sugar, fry the cherries until soft and sticky, and the cherries are fried. It can be eaten hot as a sweet soup, or when cooled, it can be used as a sweet sauce and spread on steamed buns or pancakes. The taste is very delicious. Shen Yizi fried the cool cherries into a jar, stored them, and could take them out whenever he wanted to eat. After finishing this, Shen Yizi planted a bag of flower seeds he bought at the flower stall. She allocated a new piece of land to grow flowers. Originally, I thought the space was quite large, but after utilizing it in this way, there wasn't much open space left. Still have to keep expanding the space. After planting the flowers, Shen Yizi began to work non-stop on various kinds of food. Master Chang Feng helped her a lot this time. She planned to make some food and send it to him. It was a token of her gratitude. Master Chang Feng is a monk, so she naturally has to be a vegetarian. First, use an earthenware ox head pot to cook a pot of white porridge over an open fire. She cooked the porridge with well water mixed with lingquan. It took 3 hours to cook the porridge. Before the rice was boiled, she added yuba and ginkgo. After that, it needs to be stirred every 10 minutes. Shen Yizi left this matter to Yi Chang. How long is 10 minutes? Yi Chang asked a question. This question made Shen Yizi stunned for a moment. Even though she came to this ancient world, she was still used to calculating time in a modern way, but Yi Chang didn't understand. Just count in your mind, 600 times is enough. Don't count too fast, and don't count too slowly. Oh, I understand. Yi Chang crawled over and showed her the porridge. Shen Yizi was thinking about when he would have to get a convenient timekeeping tool. It would be better if he could get a clock or a watch. Let's communicate with Wan Kantang, the master of weapon refining, then. After the porridge was cooked, the rest of the time was spent cooking it slowly. With Yu Chain watching, Shen Yizi was liberated. She started cooking. There is no need to cook too many dishes, it depends on the essence, so she plans to cook 3 dishes. Vegetarian goose, fried tofu with mushroom oil, silver-threaded ice sprouts. Vegetarian goose is made by wrapping coriander, carrots, shredded bamboo shoots, mushrooms, and fungus in wet tofu skin into the shape of a goose. It is fried and then smoked. It is golden in color and tastes like goose meat, but without the taste of goose meat. There is a hint of fishy smell, but it is fragrant and sweet. Stir-fried tofu with mushroom oil is a very simple dish, but the ingredients used are not simple. Mushroom oil is made from mushrooms she cultivated in the space. All the mushrooms used are old and young of the same size. After being cooked, they are naturally sweet and fresh, making it a divine condiment. It is very fragrant when used for cooking. She has made a lot before, and she can send a few cans to Master Chang Feng when the time comes. Oh, in addition to mushroom oil, she can also make some snacks and sauces that are easy to store. Thinking about it this way, she had quite a lot to do, but these were just hands-on tasks, and they were incomparable to Master Chang Feng's kindness in saving Qingbao. If Master Chang Feng likes it, she can provide him with long-term supplies in the future. After the fried tofu with mushroom oil was ready, Shen Yizi placed the dish in a special large food box. The food box was engraved with a thermal insulation formation, so unexpectedly the food would get cold. No matter how much time has passed, the food will still be the same as when you put it in. Of course, the premise is that the spiritual energy in the formation is not exhausted. The third dish, silver-threaded ice sprouts, is made by steaming cabbage hearts, wild rice, and asparagus in soup stock, then simmering them with fresh milk. The finished product is as sweet and delicious as snow. The staple food and dishes are all ready, now comes the snacks. There are also 3 types of dim sum, fried dough sticks, taro sticks, and lotus root clips. Yashao is best used with porridge. While doing this, she also boiled a pot of marinade, and the task of stirring the marinade and adding ingredients was naturally left to Yi Chang. As time passed, the aroma of the marinade spread out and filled the entire space. Qingbao, who had been playing well under the peach blossom tree, couldn't sit still anymore. He ran over with his ball in his arms and looked at it longingly by the stew pot, and couldn't stop sniffing it. Just like a greedy little milk dog. Shenyazi couldn't help laughing, picked him up, dipped his chopsticks in the marinade and gave him a taste. Qingbao smacked his lips and held her hand. More. Snack food, don't finish the stewed soup before the stewed meat is ready. Shenyazi fed him some cooked food that had been stored in the warming array, and finally managed to calm him down. Sit down obediently, and my mother will make braised food. She brought a small stool over for Qingbao to sit on. In order to wait for food, Qingbao behaved very well. He sat on the stool obediently and ate the steamed egg in his hand while enjoying the fragrant braised aroma. Shenyazi planned to make more at one time. He would make some vegetarian stewed vegetables and store them first, and then make meat dishes later to avoid losing the flavor. This busy work lasted a whole day. Except for going out twice during meals, Shenyazi spent the rest of the time in the space cooking various delicacies. After finishing her work and looking at the large amount of food piled in front of her, she suddenly felt proud and satisfied. This night was spent in quiet practice. Early the next morning, Shenyazi quietly got up from Qingbao, walked out of the room, washed himself, drove the donkey cart, took a lot of food, and headed to Yunqian Temple. Far away, she heard the ringing of the bells from the temple, which became clearer and longer. With the mist in the distant mountains, it has a unique artistic conception. After entering the temple gate, Shenyazi was about to find a monk to ask where Master Changfeng was. A young monk came towards her and saluted. "Donor, the abbot knows that you are coming, so he specially asked the young monk to welcome you here. Come with me." Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 74. Shenyazi raised his eyebrows and followed the young monk to the courtyard where Master Changfeng lived. Master Changfeng sat on a futon under the green pine trees in the courtyard, holding a string of rosary beads in his hand and twirling them one by one with his eyes closed. After the young monk brought her, he bowed to Master Changfeng from a distance and retreated. Shenyazi stood aside and waited quietly. Changfeng felt that he had put on a show of being a gentleman, so he opened his eyes at the right time. His eyes were clear, as if all the glitz and glamour of the world had settled down, leaving only the clarity and purity of seeing through the world. Shenyazi's heart calmed down unconsciously. He slowly stepped forward and said, "Master, I have made some vegetarian food for you to try. I don't know if it suits your taste." As he spoke, he opened the food box, took out the porridge, vegetables, and snacks inside, and placed them on a low table in front of him. Changfeng was a little disappointed when he heard that it was vegetarian, but when he smelled the fragrance, his eyes lit up again. Looking eager, "I can't wait to get started immediately." However, when Shenyazi straightened up, he regained his indifferent image as a master. "Master, please try it." Changfeng took a spoonful of porridge first. It looked like a very bland porridge, but it tasted delicious and refreshing. "It tastes good. Taste the dishes one by one. The more you eat, the more surprise you will feel." "Master, what do you think?" Okay, not bad." Changfeng couldn't help but nod. He didn't care about showing off, and he ate faster and faster. Shenyazi watched the dishes in front of him decrease at a speed visible to the naked eye. He was stunned for a moment, but then he felt that the master was even cuter. There is no pretense and you eat what you should eat. This is the demeanor of a superior person. After eating, looking at the empty plates and empty bowls in front of him, Changfeng realized and couldn't help but pause. How could he be exposed? However, when he glanced at Shenyazi opposite him, he saw that she didn't care at all and was still respectful to him, so he felt relieved. Seeing that he still had some unfinished thoughts, Shenyazi was also happy. "Master, if you like it, I will make it for you in the future." "This is so embarrassing," Changfeng said indifferently. Master, it's just a little food, you don't need to take it to heart. Well, that's a problem for you. Shenyazi put away the dishes on the table, took down the bamboo basket behind his back, and took out everything inside. These are some marinated sauces and sauces I made, don't worry, they are all vegetarian and don't contain any fishy smell. You can use them with rice or noodles on weekdays, they are both very good. Well, you are interested. The best thing in Changfeng's life is eating. Looking at the food in front of him, he couldn't wait to open it to see what was there, but due to Shenyazi, he had to endure it. Shenyazi also noticed this and smiled, then I won't bother you, master. How about I send you food every 3 days from now on? Good. As he walked to the door, Shenyazi remembered something again, master, the person who kidnapped Qingbao that day. As soon as he turned around, he saw Master Changfeng throwing himself in front of the eaters. Perhaps he didn't expect that she would turn around suddenly. Changfeng felt embarrassed, and the elegant demeanor he had managed to maintain was shattered. Calmly eat the piece of braised tofu in your mouth. Oh, ask Zhang Yuchun. He is neither a boy nor a girl. He practices the art of collecting tonic. He probably took a fancy to the little baby's physique and wanted to kidnap it and raise him as a pawn. Lu Ding. You have to watch that little baby closely from now on. Furnace Ding. Shenyazi took a deep breath. If that person appeared in front of her again, she would have to peel him off. Thank you, master, for informing me. Shenyazi bowed and saluted. Seeing as you have cooked so many delicious things for me, if there is anything you can't solve in the future, just come to me. Changfeng did not shy away from it. Shenyazi grabbed the braised meat with both hands and started eating. Okay, Shenyazi gratefully responded, and this time he really left. Halfway down the mountain, it suddenly started raining, and the rain was quite heavy. Shenyazi took out an umbrella from the space under the cover of the bamboo basket, opened it, and held it. After walking for a while, I suddenly saw a cyan figure out of the corner of my eye. It was a man in a wheelchair. Even though it was raining heavily, he didn't panic at all. He just sat there quietly and let the rain wash over him. Shenyazi couldn't stand it anymore, so he walked over quickly and put the umbrella on his head. Sir, are you alone? There is a pavilion over there. Can I push you over? He Buzzy raised his eyes in surprise, saw Shenyazi, and smiled gracefully, then I'll trouble you, girl. Actually, he had someone with him when he came out this time, but he just went to get water. Who would have thought that it would rain heavily in a short time? It's okay. Shenyazi pushed him to the pavilion. This pavilion was originally used for pedestrians to rest, and there were stone tables and benches inside. Shenyazi put away his umbrella and put it on the table. Seeing that he Buzzy was wet and there were still water drops on his face, he handed over a handkerchief and said, wipe it off. He Buzzy was stunned. He had a mysophobia and never liked touching others, let alone using a stranger's things. But looking at the soft jade white hand in front of him, he took it over by mistake. There is no incense on the veil, only a light natural fragrance, which is not offensive. He Buzzy wiped the water droplets from his face. Shenyi didn't know it was good to stare at him, so he looked at the rain curtain outside the pavilion. The sound of rain was falling, and the air was filled with the fragrance of earth mixed with vegetation. There was a muffled groan, and Shenyazi turned around to look. He Buzzy closed his eyes, with a look of suppressed pain on his face. He squeezed the armrests of his wheelchair tightly with both hands, and veins popped out on the backs of his hands. It was obvious that he was suffering tremendous pain. Shenyazi immediately stepped forward and said, I am a doctor, let me take a look at it for you. She felt his pulse, and she knew what was going on. Just as she was about to roll up his trousers to check his legs, she suddenly felt a strong force. Shenyazi was caught off guard and pushed to the ground. What do you want to do to our young master? Before Shenyazi could hold her accountable, the visitor scolded her first. She was a little girl of 15 or 16 years old, with a round face and round eyes. She was obviously cute, but at this moment, those eyes were staring at her fiercely, as if he had done something extremely sinful. It's true, this girl means well. Buji opened his eyes and squeezed out these words with difficulty. Even so, Zhen Zhen was still full of suspicion and vigilance towards Shen Yizi, but at least he no longer glared at him. She took out the medicine from her arms and poured 2 pills into his hand. "Sir, please stop talking and take the medicine quickly." He stuffed the medicine into his mouth and swallowed it alive. Shen Yizi was watching from the side. When she checked his pulse just now, she discovered that the man was poisoned by cold, but the cold poison was forced to his lower limbs, that is, his legs, which caused his bad behavior. As long as she is given time to study it, she believes she can cure him. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 75. Who would have thought that when she really heard that she could cure her own young master, instead of feeling happy, she actually sneered and looked her up and down. The contempt and disdain in her eyes should not be too obvious. You. Even the head of the Su family is helpless. How can you, a village girl, cure our young master? It's really ridiculous. Shen Yizi was not angry after hearing this, and the expression on his face did not even change. He looked at the man and said, "My surname is Shen. I live in Jiazhuang. If the young master wants to seek medical treatment from me, you can go to Jiazhuang to find me." The rain outside had lightened up a lot. She picked up her umbrella, opened it and walked out. This straightforward attitude surprised Zhen Zhen. She thought that this woman was just like those who treated her legs before, but she was actually taking the opportunity to get close to her son, but now she was a little unsure. But she looks only 18 or 19 years old. Even if she has some medical skills, how good can she be? How is it possible to cure the young master's leg? When he got home, it was almost noon. Shen Yizi made lunch. After eating it with Qingbao, he took him upstairs to take a nap. After finally coaxing the energetic little to sleep, she was finally able to free up her hands to start her own pharmaceutical business. 2 hours later, the first version of the bodybuilding medicine developed by Shen Yizi was released. She came out of the small building and came to the front yard, ready to take a walk and relax her head. Gan Wufa, who was practicing, came up to him and said, "Girl, I feel that all the hidden diseases in my body have been cured. When can I help you test the medicine?" Shen Yizi looked at him strangely. Didn't he know what the drug test was about? Why do you look so eager to try it? She didn't know that Gan Wu now admired her so much, and he was always eating here for free these days, so he had long wanted to do something for her. As for testing the medicine, it would be a bit painful at most. Miss Shen wouldn't kill him, would she? With this thought in mind, Gan Wu was not worried at all about trying the medicine. Shen Yizi felt his pulse and said, "Well, it's fine. I just recently developed a bodybuilding medicine, so you can be my first test subject." Good. However, he soon regretted it. In the room, steam was rising from the bathtub filled with hot water. Shen Yizi poured the medicinal solution from the porcelain bottle into the bathtub and stirred it. In an instant, the water inside turned into a dangerous red color, and it was originally the calm water was bubbling. As if boiling. "Take off your clothes and go in." Shen Yizi turned around and faced Wudio. Ganu covered his chest, acting like a little sheep being targeted by the big bad wolf, which made Shen Yizi's lips twitch. "Hurry up, what are you waiting for? Do you want me to kick you in?" Ganwu walked to the tub one step at a time, feeling panicked. If his master knew that he had exposed his in front of Miss Shen, would he still be killed? Although the master didn't say it clearly, judging from how much he cared about the young master, Miss Shen might be his future mistress. Shen Yizi was not interested in watching him take off his clothes. He turned around and walked behind the screen and said, "Call me when you're done taking off your clothes." As soon as Ganwu saw that her back was turned, he immediately stripped himself naked and stepped into the tub. As soon as he entered, he was burned so hard that the corners of his mouth were crooked. Then a burst of excruciating pain swept over him, giving him no time to adapt. Ah, even a tough guy like Qianwu couldn't help shouting. Shen Yizi didn't let him go. "How do you feel now?" "Pain, in addition to pain, it is pain." Hang Qian grabbed the edge of the tub with 5 fingers, gritting his teeth so hard that veins popped out on his forehead. "It hurts, that's right, the more painful it is now, the greater the benefits will be later." Because it was too painful, Ganwu no longer cared about Shen Yizi standing nearby and watching him take a medicinal bath. Shen Yizi asked him some questions from time to time and wrote them down on paper. After all, she had just developed this bodybuilding drug, and it is still in the testing stage, and there are still many areas that need to be improved. When the temperature of the water in the bathtub dropped, Shen Yizi added hot pebbles to maintain the water temperature. The medicinal bath lasted for 2 hours. Ganwu was also tortured inhumanely for 2 hours. When he got out of the bathtub, he felt like his whole body had been hollowed out. "Drink." Shen Yizi handed over a bowl of medicine. Without saying a word, he took it and drank it in one gulp. "Okay, lie down on the bed and have a good rest, we will continue tomorrow." "Ganu. Master, is it still too late for me to apply to cancel the mission?" When he woke up, he was resurrected with 5 full blood and his whole body was full of strength. This was not his illusion. He moved his body bones, and there was a crackling sound all over his body. In the yard, Shen Yizi was having dinner with Qingbao. Eggplant drizzled with oil, stir-fried shredded gourds, cubed meat, and fish in a pot with milk soup. This is the time when eggplants and gourds are in season. Although Shen Yizi has all kinds of vegetables in his space, it's not easy to cook out of season dishes outside. The vegetables grown in the space are very fresh and tender, with a refreshing taste and a hint of sweetness. They are delicious no matter how they are cooked. Cube meat, this dish is steamed with pork belly and daylily. The daylily is delicious and the meat is fat but not greasy. Qingbao likes it very much. Every bite of meat and every bite of rice taste delicious. Pot fish in milk soup, the fish soup is fresh and thick milky white, and the fish meat is so tender that it melts in one sip. Qingbao directly took the fish soup to make rice and ate 2 large bowls of it. Yu Chain watched from the side and his mouth watered. It's a pity that Shen Yizi no longer allows him to eat at the same table with them, because his appetite is too shocking. If he were served on the table, these dishes would not be enough to bring disaster to him. Seeing Ganwu come out, Shen Yizi went into the kitchen and quickly cooked a few dishes with the ever-burning cauldron and brought them out. "Sit down and eat." Ganu has lived here for a while now, and has a rough idea of her temperament. He knows that she doesn't like those weak things, so it would be unkind to let him eat them. He sat down next to Qingbao. "Fifth uncle," Qingbao called him. She shouted with joy, "Qingbao is so good." He took a piece of meat and fed it to him. He was already hungry. Seeing that Qingbao was eating well, he opened his arms and started eating. Although he has eaten it so many times, he can't help but marvel every time. Miss Shen's cooking skills are really amazing. It's so delicious that I want to swallow it with my tongue. Eating delicious food, Ganwu felt a burst of happiness. The shadow caused by the previous medicinal bath was instantly swept away. He wished he could stay here forever. Since then, Ganwu has lived a life of happiness and dire straits. With his selfless dedication, Shen Yizi's bodybuilding medicine was finally perfected and ready for use. Shen Yizi was the first to start using it. As a producer, she must know the specific effects of her medicine, right? She wouldn't be at ease unless she tried it herself. Besides, she developed this medicine for herself out of consideration of improving her physical fitness. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 76. The moment he stepped into the bathtub, Shenyazi felt the painful sourness. When she saw Ganwu's face twisted in pain, she not only had no sympathy at all, but also felt a little gloating about his misfortune. After all, the pain was not on her. But now it's her turn, she really has the urge to curse. If the drug maker was not her, she would definitely take that person out and beat him up. It hurts so much. No, this medicine must be improved. At least the ones she uses can be improved. In the future, we will make two versions, one painful and one non-painful. The price of the non-painful version will be set several times higher. Perfect. The pain was so intense that she was living and dying again and again. Shenyazi gritted her teeth and kept her mind clear. Finally, after the pain passed, she grabbed the porcelain bottle placed aside, poured out the pills inside and swallowed it. She specially made this pill sweet. After suffering a lot of pain before, if she takes another sugar pill, wouldn't it make her feel overflowing with happiness? After refining the medicinal power, Shenyazi felt a little itchy all over his body, which was caused by the rapid growth of cells in the body. The reason why it was so painful when taking a medicinal bath before is because after the medicinal liquid enters the body, it destroys and renews the muscles and bones, eliminating impurities in the body. After this process is completed, the body will become as clean and fragile as a newborn baby. After taking the pill, the body will gradually become stronger under the influence of the medicine. She could feel the blood rushing happily like a tide in her body, her muscles and bones became strong and solidified, and her skin became whiter and smoother, like translucent gelatin. But more powerful. Shenyazi stepped out of the bathtub. She had just wiped off the water drops on her body and put on a soft and close-fitting nightgown. A figure suddenly broke in and held her wrist. Where is Qingbao? How is he? Shenyazi looked at the man in front of him, whose breathing was still a little unstable, and his eyes widened in shock. How did you come? Gu Swiding looked at the person in front of him. His black hair was hanging loosely, still carrying traces of moisture. She was wearing an extremely revealing skirt, with her snow-white round shoulders, two arms, large collarbones, and calves all exposed. Tender, watery and dazzlingly white. A light fragrance emanated from her body, teasing all his senses. Gu Swiding's Adam's apple rolled up and down, and his body suddenly reacted. Before she knew it, he turned quickly and turned his back to her. Qianwu sent a message saying that Qingbao was almost kidnapped. I'm worried, so I came here to have a look. When I spoke, my voice was already a little hoarse. Even though his back was turned to her, the scene just now was deeply imprinted in his mind, impacting his reason again and again. Shenyazi raised an eyebrow. It seemed that she was too kind to Ganwu and casually revealed her information to Gu Swiding. But considering that he came all the way here, she didn't pretend to hide it and simply told the matter. The person who kidnapped Qingbao was Zhan Yuchun, but fortunately Master Chang Feng took action and intercepted her, so Qingbao is fine, you don't have to worry. She sat down on the low couch beside her, picked up a dry handkerchief and wiped her hair. Hearing the rustling noise behind him, Gu Swiding thought she had put on her clothes. When she turned around, she saw an even more gorgeous scene, and her breath suddenly suffocated. She sat there leisurely. Due to her movements, one of the thin shoulder straps fell off her shoulders, exposing half of her shoulders. The soft and white undulations were so exposed to his sight. Gu Swiding's eyes suddenly ignited with a deep dark fire, and the person who caused it didn't know it, and kept wiping his hair. Black hair and snow-like skin created a strong visual impact. Shen Yizi noticed something was wrong and looked up at him. What's wrong? Qingbao is in the house. Go and see him yourself. Why are you still here? What's so good about her wiping her hair? Gu Swiding did not move, standing upright with his eyes locked on her. Do you usually dress like this? The thought of the possibility of others looking at her like this made him feel murderous rage in his chest. This feeling was so fierce and unexpected that he was a little confused. Shen Yizi frowned and looked at himself. Then he realized that the shoulder strap had fallen off and he hooked it up calmly. Is there any problem? What was his tone just now? It's like catching Hung Xing's cheating wife. She has no relationship with him now, okay. What is the problem? Gu Swiding's eyes darkened. He strode over, leaned forward, and enveloped her between his chest and the soft couch. The sense of oppression he brought was too strong, and Shen Yizi leaned back subconsciously. He is getting more and more pushy. Obviously there was no contact between the two of them, but because they were so close, she could even feel the heat coming from his body. The cold and clear breath from his body completely enveloped her. Shen Yizi didn't like being suppressed and at a disadvantage. He stretched out his hand to push him away, but he was like a rock, not moving at all. Gu Swiding looked at the hand pressed against his chest. It was soft, white, and fragrant, like petals. It took a lot of willpower not to grab it. Qingbao is still young. As a mother-in-law, if you dress in such revealing clothes, aren't you giving him a bad image? It's inappropriate. Shen Yizi couldn't believe what he heard. She grabbed his shirt and gritted her teeth. Gu Swiding. What do you mean? Do you need to control what clothes I wear? Where is it exposed? Why is it setting a bad image for Qingbao? This man broke into her home, accused her of wearing revealing clothes, and scolded her as if he was doing her best. I am your uncle. Because of her anger, her eyes were so bright that they seemed to have lit up two clusters of gorgeous fireworks, so bright and thrilling. A thin red glow appeared on his face, as intoxicating as if he were stained with rouge. The chest also became more and more majestic due to the ups and downs. Gu Swiding's hands behind his back were clenched tightly into fists, his body was tense to the extreme, and his face became increasingly cold and stern. As if he wanted to eat her. Shen Yizi felt a sense of danger inexplicably, and flexibly turned his body to escape from under him. However, in the next second, he was pulled back by a big hot hand, and then, a hot body pressed up. Then she felt a sharp pain in her neck. Gu Swiding actually bit her neck. Is he a dog? If you disagree, bite someone. Not only did he bite her, but he also sucked her blood. At that moment, a scene suddenly flashed through her mind. In the picture, she is being held down by a man and doing whatever he wants. Although it was just a sudden appearance, it made her little heart beat wildly. Could that man be Qingbao's father? When Shen Yizi came back to his senses, he was shocked. Could it be that Gu Swiding had some strange illness? She struggled to escape, but he held him tightly, with such force that he wanted to embed her into his body. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 77. Gu, Shui, Ting. She beat his body, but he didn't move at all. Finally, she got tired and just lay still. Forget it, you won't die if you a few mouthfuls of blood. But why is this guy so heavy? It's almost crushing her to death. Okay. Daddy. Perhaps after hearing the movement here, Qingbao ran over and saw Gu Swiding, and immediately shouted excitedly. Shen Yizi. Little traitor. My mother is still being suppressed, but you turn a blind eye and only see your father. Snacks will be halved starting tomorrow. Hearing Qingbao's voice, Gu Swiding reluctantly returned to consciousness, took another nostalgic sip, licked the wound, and sat up from Shen Yizi. Except for a trace of blood on his lips, there was nothing strange about his face. Qingbao. He stretched out his hand towards Qingbao, and Qingbao rushed over and ran into his arms. Shen Yizi glanced at the father and son hugging each other, snorted angrily, and went into the house to treat his wounds. Gu Switting's eyes were glued to her back, and he didn't come back to his senses until Qingbao slapped his face repeatedly. "Does the baby miss daddy?" "I miss you, daddy," Qingbao said loudly, taking out a handful of preserved fruits from his pocket. "Daddy, eat them." Looking at his sparkling eyes, Gu Switting felt so moved that she ate the preserved fruit with his hand. The father and son are sticky here, and Shen Yizi is sitting in front of the dressing table applying medicine to himself. Looking at the deep teeth marks on her neck, her anger that had just subsided surged up again. Gu Switting definitely wanted to bite her to death. It hurts when touched. After finally getting the medicine, Qingbao led Gu Switting and ran in. "Mother, daddy is hungry." Shen Yizi's lips twitched. What does Gu Switting's hunger have to do with her? "Mother," Qingbao let go of Gu Switting and walked over, grabbed her hand and pulled her out. "Cook some food. Daddy wants to eat." Shen Yizi was going to be mad at this little bastard. But it was Gu Switting who was even more angry. Can't help but stare at him. "Look at the good thing you did. My precious son, who I raised with so much hard work, was just kidnapped by you." Gu Switting's lips curled up, and a pleasant smile appeared on his face. Walked up to her and knelt down on one knee. Even so, she was still a little taller than the sitting Shen Yizi. "I'm really sorry just now, I didn't mean to bite you." Shen Yizi squinted his eyes and bit him. Now he came to tell her that he didn't mean it. Sneered, "Really?" Pounced on him and hit him the neck. Standed up straight and raised a wanton smile. "I didn't mean to do it either." Her lips were stained with his blood, making her look even more delicate and beautiful. Her smile exuded an air of coquettishness for no apparent reason, making her look like a cunning little goblin. Gu Switting's heart was deeply affected. He seemed not to feel any pain at all, looking at her with indulgence. "Have you calmed down? If not, I'll give you another bite." Shen Yizi. Inexplicably, I feel like I am being pampered. Why am I so fat? Qingbao looked at his parents blankly beside him, with Yi Chang wrapped around his arm, feeling a toothache. Smelled by the sour smell of love. Shen Yizi tried his best to control his sullen face, but he couldn't help but smile from the corners of his eyes and brows. He snorted proudly, "Don't think I will forgive you if you say this." Gu Switting held her hand and made a suggestion, "Then you beat me." Shen Yizi glanced at him and said, "Your chest is so hard, my hands still hurt when I hit you." "Yu Chang, the snake can't stand it anymore, so he should go practice." Gu Switting's chest shook slightly, and a pleasant and deep chuckle escaped from his lips. "What do you want?" Shen Yizi leaned slightly closer to him. As she got closer, the fragrance made his body feel hotter and hotter. At the same time, her snow-white hands came up. Although they were so gentle, he felt unbearable. "Keep this posture and don't move, I will forgive you for an hour." She smiled slyly at him, but announced his punishment. Gu Switting lowered his eyes and smiled, "Okay." Immediately, she stood up and walked past him. The silky and fragrant skirt brushed his arm, causing a numb itch. "Baby, your mother went to cook for daddy." The joy in her heart gushes out like spring water, and Gu Switting's smile at this moment is a little silly. "Have a meal." Qingbao also imitated Gu Switting and knelt down on one knee. Unfortunately, his legs were too short and too fat. After struggling for a long time, he failed. Instead, he fell to the ground and rolled twice like a meat dumpling. Fortunately, the ground was covered with the mattress that Gu Switting had sent before, so he was fine. Gu Switting picked him up with his long arms and started playing with him. Of course, the most important thing is to ask him about what happened to Shen Yizi during his absence. The focus is on which people with malicious intentions he has come into contact with. Qing Bao, a clever little guy, revealed everything about Shen Yizi without hesitation. Shen Yizi went down and within half an hour, he brought up a food box. She took out the food and put it on the table one by one. Spicy crispy pigeon, stir-fried twice-cooked pork with tofu, stir-fried fungus with vegetables, braised diced rabbit, and a cup of angel fish soup. Add a large bowl of rice. Come here for dinner. Shen Yizi didn't mention anyone by name, but who else could be here besides Gu Swiding? After setting the dishes, he didn't see him coming out yet. Shen Yizi looked towards the inner room doubtfully, but met his aggrieved eyes. Zhizi, my legs are numb. Are you still pretending to be pitiful with her? Shen Yizi sighed inwardly, but still walked over. At this moment, she had put on a coat over her pajamas. Although her arms and legs were covered, as she walked, her skirt swayed and her sleeves fluttered, revealing her slim and graceful figure. Gu Swiding thought his eyes were restrained enough. However, in Shen Yizi's opinion, it was too scorching. She paused, walked over and asked, "Do you want me to help you?" Gu Swiding nodded without hesitation and stretched out his hand towards her. However, I don't know if he did it on purpose or if his legs were really numb and he couldn't use his strength. When he stood up, he staggered and fell to the ground with her. But before landing, he pulled her into his arms, turned over and placed him under her. Shen Yizi's whole body was embedded in his arms, and his arms were wrapped around her waist. When their eyes met, both of them felt their hearts tremble, and neither of them spoke for a moment. Qing Bao, who was sitting on a blanket not far away and playing, glanced this way, tilted his head, and planned to get up. But was stopped by Yi Chang. "Your parents are busy talking about love. You little light bulb, don't come over and ruin the atmosphere." In order to divert Qing Bao's attention, Yi Chang rolled himself into a twist, bit his own tail and jumped up and down. Qing Bao was amused and giggled. Shen Yizi was shocked by Qing Bao's laughter and came back to his senses. Looking at Gu Swiding's face so close, his face burned up and he hurriedly got up from him. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 78. With his arms empty, Gu Swiding felt as if his heart was also empty. "Get up quickly, the food is getting cold." Shen Yizi ignored Gu Swiding and walked over. "Drink this cup of fish soup first." After Gu Swiding sat down at the table, Shen Yizi opened the lid of the cup and pushed it over. It is not without reason that the soup is called angel fish soup. It is made in batches carefully. It uses the heat from the old hen soup to slowly smoke the crucian carp meat hanging above the soup and then cooks it. The taste is definitely better than the fairy soup. Originally, she planned to make it a midnight snack for Qing Bao, but now it is easier for Gu Swiding. Just as Gu Swiding was about to put the soup into his mouth, Qing Bao, a foodie, ran over and stared at him. He simply sat him on his lap, fed him a spoonful, and then ate it himself. Qing Bao narrowed his eyes at the delicious fish soup. "It tastes good." And watching the father and son eating the meal lovingly, Shen Yizi sat aside and watched with his snow cheeks propped up, his eyes so soft that they seemed to be dripping with water. Gu Swiding saw it inadvertently, and the tip of his heart felt as if it was tickled by a soft feather, itching, forcing him to do something. Before she could react, he had already put a piece of green vegetables to her mouth. I thought she would refuse, but unexpectedly, she opened her lips slightly and took in the green vegetables. Gu Swiding looked at her opening and closing red lips, and his eyes instantly became extremely dark. Shen Yizi didn't realize until he took it into his mouth that his whole body felt bad. I suddenly remembered something else, please eat slowly." She ran away. Gu Swiding smiled lowly and said in Qing Bao's ear, "Your mother is shy." Shen Yizi thought that Gu Swiding would stay for at least a few days this time, but he didn't expect that he would leave after finishing his meal and putting Qing Bao to sleep. "Why are you in such a hurry? Can't you let me go?" Gu Switting grabbed one of her hands and wrapped it around her like a jade stone, covering everything from the back of the hand to the fingers and even the fingernails. Seeing that he seemed to want to bring it to his mouth for a kiss, she panicked and pulled her hand back. Who wouldn't want to give it up? I just feel a little surprised. You are telling the truth. Gu Switting scratched her face. The imperial capital is a bit chaotic right now. I came here at night and have to rush back before tomorrow morning. Walking from the imperial capital to here and back overnight. How did he do it? Seeing the shock in Shen Yizi's eyes, he suddenly leaned closer to her. Want to know? Shen Yizi is indeed very curious. Although I have long known that there are many things in this world that are beyond common sense, I still can't help but be surprised when I see them. Gu Switting pulled her into his arms and said, "Hold me tight." He said the same thing that time when he took her flying up from the bottom of the cliff. Shen Yizi chose to hug his neck this time. Feeling the warmth in his arms, the smile on Gu Switting's lips deepened, and he jumped out of the window with her, rising instead of falling, to the roof. A huge black bird stood on it. The two wings are spread out to a length of 7 or 8 meters. Shen Yizi was startled at first, and then realized that the big bird didn't seem to be a living thing. This is a puppet bird developed by the Mahists. As long as it is equipped with a driving stone, it can spread its wings and fly thousands of miles a day. Gu Switting led Shen Yizi to the puppet bird so that she could watch it up close. Shen Yizi's attention was focused on the puppet bird, and he was not aware of the intimacy between the two at this moment. Other than being unable to move, the puppet bird in front of me was no different from a real bird. It was lifelike. Its feathers, which were dark purple and nearly ink, felt smooth to the touch, as if they were real feathers. Gu Switting said, "This puppet bird is made from a real bird demon, that's why it is so lifelike." I see. Shen Yizi walked around the puppet bird and asked, "What is the driving stone you just mentioned?" Gu Switting spread his hands, and in his palm lay a stone the size of a fingernail. It was crystal clear and radiant, with a faint halo like moonlight flowing on its surface. "It's so beautiful." Shen Yizi picked it up and couldn't put it down. Soon, she felt that there was a spiritual power in the stone. Could this be the spiritual stone that Yi Chang mentioned? Gu Switting put her palms together and wrapped them. "I'll give it to you if you like it." It was rare for her to express her love for something so clearly in front of him, so he naturally wanted to satisfy her. I have even thought about how to collect more driving stones like this and give them to her. Under the clear and bright moonlight, there is a man and a woman alone on an undisturbed roof. The atmosphere is so good that it seems that it would be bad if we don't do something. Shen Yizi took a step closer to Gu Switting, almost touching him, and opened her crimson lips. "Are you trying to please me?" Gu Switting lowered his head, his gaze focused on her, gradually tightening. "Yes." "Stretch out your hand to pull the person into your arms." Shen Yizi slipped away like a nimble fish, turned back and smiled at him. "Wait for me, I'll be back as soon as I can." The clothes were flowing and the steps were brisk, disappearing from his sight. Gu Switting was trapped in her smile and could not recover for a long time. Shen Yizi returned to the house, covered his chest to calm his beating heart, and began to pack things. Mostly some food and drink, 2 sets of clothes, and a purse. The clothes and purse had been prepared a long time ago, but it was just because Gu Switting left them without saying goodbye before. There is enough stuff stuffed into a big baggage. She carried it to the roof and handed it to him. "Go back and look again." "Good. When will you next?" He put the things down, held her face in his hands, and said in a gentle voice that seemed to melt away, "I will come to accompany you and Qingbao as soon as the matter in Beijing is over." Shen Yizi looked into his eyes and said, "June 18th is Qingbao's birthday. You must come then." "Okay, I promise." "Okay, you should go." Shen Yizi turned his face. "Zhizi, have you forgotten something?" Gu Switting's voice rang in her ears. "Forgot what?" She didn't expect that when she tilted her head, her lips would touch his. Gu Switting held her waist and pushed her into his arms. He held the back of her head with his other hand and deepened the kiss without politeness. In the village, someone's rooster crows. Shen Yizi came to his senses and withdrew from his arms. Go, be careful along the way, turn around and leave. Because she didn't want to be the one who stood there and watched him leave. Gu Switting hugged her from behind, tied his arms tightly around her waist, and kissed the wound on her neck. Zizi. Wait for me. In the end, he just said these two words. Hearing the sound of the big bird flapping its wings behind him, Shen Yizi instantly felt the urge to follow him. But she held it back in the end. Until the movement behind her completely disappeared, she turned around and looked at the night sky. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 79. The cool night wind blew on his body, and Shen Yizi shivered, rubbed his arms and returned to the house. It's true, it's not like we can't see each other anymore, so why make it so melancholy? Shen Yizi rubbed his face, lay down on the bed, and kissed Qingbao on the cheek. He thought that when this kid woke up tomorrow and his father was missing, he would probably burst into tears, so he couldn't help but chuckle. Xiao Chang, is this the spirit stone you mentioned? She took out the driving stone that Gu Switting gave her. Yu Chang got out of Qingbao's sleeve and said, yes, but this is only the lowest grade spiritual stone, and it contains very little spiritual energy. If he were to use it for cultivation, it would probably take less than a week for the spirit stone to be sucked dry and turned into a pile of powder. Shen Yizi rubbed the spirit stone, found a red rope, braided it in, made it into a bracelet and put it on his wrist, and asked Yi Chang, does it look good? Yu Chang, it looks good and matches your skin tone. A woman in love is really scary. This night, Shen Yizi rarely practiced, but fell asleep with Qingbao. Early the next morning, she was woken up by a loud and clear whistle. Needless to say, it was her little who blew the whistle. Qingbao, where did your whistle come from? Daddy gave it to me. Shen Yizi thought this was a toy that Gu Switting gave to Qingbao. After taking a look at it, he saw that the workmanship was quite exquisite, so he didn't care. While eating breakfast, Ganwu was staring at Shen Yizi as if he was looking at meat on the chopping board, which made his scalp numb. The steamed buns that were originally so delicious no longer taste good when eaten. Girl, you look at me like this, I'm a little scared. Shen Yizi took a sip of porridge slowly. Are you scared? Why didn't I see you were scared when I sent the message to Gu Switting? Have you forgotten what I told you before? Huh. Although she has some unclear relationship with Gu Switting now, she will never tolerate his people passing her news to him. Isn't this the same as spying on her? Originally, she was thinking of settling a score with Gu Switting, but she was so dazzled by his beauty last night that she forgot about it as her head felt dizzy. Now that the rightful owner is not in front of her, she will naturally find Ganwu to settle the score. Ganwu made a sad face. Needless to say, Miss Shen must have learned this from her master. Since the master has become very close to Miss Shen privately, why should he come to Hanjian to pass the message? If you want to know anything, can't you just ask Miss Shen? Do you know what to do next? Ganwu thought for a second and then said, I know, I will never pass on the girl's affairs to the master in the future. Very good, but in view of the mistakes you made before, I still have to give you a small punishment and a big warning. Shen Yizi did not say what the specific punishment was, but looking at the smile on her face, he felt an inexplicable fear. Soon, he knew what the little punishment she meant was. Ah! In the bathtub, Ganwu let out a heartbreaking scream of pain, as if the chrysanthemum was in jeopardy. Because this time, What Shen Yazi poured in was an upgraded version of the bodybuilding potion that was twice as painful. Didn't she plan to develop a painless bodybuilding drug? So the original bodybuilding medicine was slightly modified to make people feel twice as painful when taking a medicinal bath. In this way, you can realize how precious the painless version of the bodybuilding medicine is, right? The one being tested now is the modified bodybuilding drug. Why are you shouting so loudly? If you don't know, you might think I've done something to you. Shen Yazi saw him screaming so miserably, but instead of feeling any pain in his conscience, he was also very happy. Ganu. He was in so much pain that his nerves were twisted and he didn't want to speak. Come on, get through it and you will realize the benefits it brings. She didn't lie to him. If he could even get through this kind of pain, then his willpower would definitely become stronger and more tenacious. Where can I find this kind of benefit? At this point, Ganwu still believed in her, but when he learned that there was a painless version of the bodybuilding drug, he really wanted to die. From then on, I had a firm idea in my heart, that is, don't offend Miss Shen without offending anyone. In the middle of the month, it was time to deliver medicine as agreed with the shopkeeper of Huishun Hall. Shen Yazi did not go there in person this time, but sent Ganwu out. Why don't you use it if you have errands to run? 10 boxes of hemostatic ointment, 3 bottles of detoxifying pills, and 4 boxes of bodybuilding pills, take them. Shen Yazi handed Ganwu a wooden box. A box of bodybuilding medicine contains both bodybuilding liquid for external use and bodybuilding elixir for internal use. She made the soup into pills so that it is convenient to take. Taken internally and externally, a two-pronged approach. One session can greatly improve a person's physical fitness. And this improvement is all-round, including strength, speed, 5 senses, etc. As an experimenter, Ganwu felt the deepest, and now he felt that it would be no problem for him to challenge Ganyi for his position. Among the Ganyi, they are basically ranked according to their strength. Ganyi is the well-deserved strongest one, occupying the position of the boss all year round. Although Ganu ranks 5th, there is still a big gap between it and first place. But now, he can feel that if he continues to compete with Gankinzi, let alone overtake him, at least he will not fall behind. You can imagine how powerful the medicine made by Miss Shen is. His previous suffering was not in vain. Shen Yazi instructed, don't sell the bodybuilding medicine if it's less than 1,000 taels. Give them a box for testing, but you have to calculate the money. Go ahead. Ganu came back very quickly, and in addition to the money from selling the medicine, he also brought her a piece of news. Shopkeeper Su said that there will be an auction at Tianbao Pavilion at the beginning of next month, and there will be an auction of the Pingyang flower you have been looking for. Ganu handed over a beautiful booklet. Shen Yazi took it and flipped through it. The various auction items are drawn in the brochure, which is lifelike and quite realistic. The bottom price is also marked below, as well as an introduction to the auction items. After turning a few pages, she discovered that Pingyang Hua was prominently included in the book. The base price is 3,000 taels, which is still within her affordability. Although it cost a lot of money to build a house and a medical center this time, she used all the proceeds from selling medicines, the box of gold beads that Gu Swiding gave her before, and the box of gold and silver that Zhao Si of Huishengtang used to bribe her. She hasn't used the jewelry yet. It must be enough for bidding on Pingyang flowers. However, looking at the other lots in the album, she suddenly had the feeling that she was poor. The Pingyang flower she has been looking for is just the bottom one, and there are many more rare things than Pingyang flower. For example, this nephrite whip has an introduction written on it. It was a rare treasure that was once presented to the royal family in a foreign country, but later became lost among the people. Light can be used to identify things, and the verses are beautiful. Although the beauty of Lanchan cannot be exceeded. If it is bent, the head and tail will be aligned. If it is relaxed, the strength will be as straight as a rope. It is indestructible with swords and guns. The base price is 30,000 taels. 30,000 taels, which is almost equivalent to her entire net worth, but this is just the base price of a nephrite whip. Jasper silk skirt, base price is 10,000 taels. It's just a dress, but it actually costs 10,000 taels? Although it is indeed beautiful, it is not to the point of. After reading its introduction, Shen Yazi became silent. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 80. This jasper silk comes from the Maluo Kingdom in the East China Sea. There are mulberries in the country. There is a kind of silkworm on the mulberry tree. This kind of silkworm is different from ordinary silkworms. Not only is it golden in color, but it can also grow to more than 10 centimeters. The silk it spins out is blue. Known as golden silk. This kind of silk is translucent on the outside and inside, invulnerable to water and fire, and has such a strong load-bearing capacity that it can be pulled by 10 people. If it is a string, the ghosts and gods will dance when it is played. If it is a bowstring, the range of arrows can reach thousands of meters. The clothes are not only beautiful, but also practical, stain-resistant and wear-resistant. The most important thing is that this thing is very rare. It is a luxury item among luxuries, and it will definitely make a lot of women scream and go crazy. As a woman, Shen Yazi couldn't help but feel possessive just by looking at the picture. However, she was still a little reluctant to spend 10,000 taels or even tens of thousands taels to buy a piece of clothing. There are all kinds of treasures at the back, which is really an eye-opener for her. Shen Yazi felt that even if it wasn't for Pinjiang Hua, she would still have to join in the fun of this auction. It's just that, with her current net worth, I'm afraid she'll only be beaten by rich men from all walks of life, right? Qingbao came over, leaned in her arms and looked at the booklet. I want beads. He pointed to the book and said. There happened to be a bead drawn on the page she opened. The beads are supported by a finely carved sandalwood base, which is bright and white. If you look closely, there seems to be a scene of the fairy Yunhe inside the beads. Shangqingzhu, from the Yanban country in the West Sea, is a top-quality luminous pearl that can illuminate a room, looking like an immortal, a jade girl, clouds, cranes, and crimson festivals. Reserve price. 30,000 taels. Shen Yazi took a breath of air in his heart. 30,000 taels to buy a bead, is she full enough? However, Qingbao hugged the book and didn't let go. He stared at the beads without blinking. He obviously loved it very much. Shen Yazi tried to take the booklet from his hand, but failed, and almost made him cry. Okay, just hold it if you like. I want beads, Qingbao said persistently. The little hand is still grasping the booklet, as if trying to grab the bead. The result was, of course, nothing. Looking at his confused expression, Shen Yazi smiled. It was only because the painter was so skilled that the things he painted were just like the real thing, which deceived Qingbao. Mom, I want beads. What to do? It's rare for Qingbao to like something so much. Should she, as a mother, satisfy him? It's not a matter of money. It's not difficult for her to make money. What she's worried about is that she can satisfy the little guy's wishes so easily. What if he develops a bad habit of having to get something he likes? She is also raising a child for the first time, and often does not know the balance between love and indulgence. Qingbao looked at the picture album seriously, his face almost touching it. After all, Shen Yazi couldn't bear to let her baby down, so she kissed him. Okay, when the time comes, mother will buy it for us to play with. So the question is, how can she earn at least 100,000 taels of silver in less than a month? 100,000 taels is just an estimate. The actual bidding may require hundreds of thousands or even millions. Shen Yazi felt that his little heart couldn't bear it. With the space as a backing, it is really not that difficult for her to make money, but she wants to do it step by step. After all, her need for money is not that high. If she directly sells the spiritual spring as fairy water, she will definitely be able to accumulate a large amount of funds in a short period of time, but that would be too ostentatious. What she wants is low-key and long-term. But now, in order to win the favor of her precious son, she had to find a way to make money as soon as possible. Opening the box of money brought back by Ganwu, Shen Yizi counted it again and felt that something was wrong with the number. It was not less, but more. She handed Qian 5 to 5 boxes of hemostatic ointment, 3 bottles of detoxification pills, and 4 boxes of bodybuilding pills, which were estimated to be worth 7,300 taels of silver. But now there are 11,300 taels in the box. Could it be that a box of bodybuilding medicine was actually sold for a high price of 2,000 taels? It's hard to tell that he is a good negotiator. Even if she went by herself, there was no guarantee that she would be able to negotiate such a high price. Shen Yizi called Ganwu over and asked, but he said, after shopkeeper Su tested the efficacy of the medicine, he offered a price of 2,000 taels. I thought the price was twice the price you quoted, so I agreed. Did he drive it himself? Okay, I get it. After Ganwu went out, Shen Yizi couldn't help but think about it. Shopkeeper Su is quite kind, but no matter how kind he is still a businessman. Businessmen pursue profits, so there is no reason for him to take the initiative to give her so much profit. If the price offered to her is so high, won't the money he can earn be greatly reduced? Could it be that he was doing it for Sujaki Yu's sake? Or is it to thank her for saving her before and use money to repay the favor? Find out what he says next time you have a chance. Shen Yizi kept this in mind. At night, Shen Yizi entered the space and took a look around, thinking about something that could make him a lot of money as soon as possible. While she was patrolling well, a golden book suddenly fell from the sky and floated in front of her. The cover reads, Trial Manual of the Master of the Divine Emperor Pearl. Divine Emperor Pearl? Trial Manual? Shen Yizi had a vague guess in his heart and took a step forward to open the pages of the book. On the first page, there is a seemingly simple but mysterious pattern. Looking carefully, it seems that the word God Emperor is embedded in it. The second page is some information about her. Lord of the Trial, Shen Yizi. Appearance, half fairy, half devil, that scar is really unsightly. Cultivation level, 3rd level of Qi refining, comparable to a weak chicken. Skills, medical skills, intermediate level, pharmaceutical skills, intermediate level. Points, 358, for details on how to obtain points, please click here. Shen Yizi after reading. What do those words in brackets mean? Needless to say, the guy who came up with this thing is undoubtedly a sharp-tongued person. I can't turn it over again. I can only turn to the second page now. Shen Yizi asked, is the Divine Emperor Pearl the space I am in now? The trial manual was spread out on its own initiative, and a line of golden words appeared on it, the tria list has insufficient authority, and this manual refuses to answer. Shen Yizi. This is definitely intentional. She did not ask further questions to avoid humiliating herself. She simply started studying the manual on her own, and accidentally clicked on the number 358, and a subpage immediately popped up. Cure Goose Whitting's external and internal injuries, points add 199. Save the lives of Yang Qifen and her son, points add 30. Unlock Li Qingyun's snake venom, score add 25. There is a long list of people she has treated since she came here. She had forgotten some of them, but these were all recorded in the book. And Goose Whitting is indeed a person with deep luck. Just treating his injury increased his points by nearly 200 points, while saving the lives of Yang Qifen, mother and son only increased his points by 30 points. This cold number made her feel a sense of ruthlessness. Just, What are these points used for? The points item in the trial manual shouldn't be aimless, right?